This is Chris,
This is Nick.
and you're listening to The Midnight Tapes. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the death of Elisa Lam. For those of you who don't know this story, we're going to go ahead and recap for you. So Elisa Lam was a Canadian student from Vancouver, and her body was recovered from the water tank on top of the rooftop of the Cecil Hotel, which is located in downtown LA. On February 19th, 2013, after a massive search by police, they discovered her body on the rooftop in the water tank. So days before she disappeared, they said she traveled alone, that she was on vacation, I think, from school.
Okay.
So check this out. She has bipolar disorder, which leads a lot of people to think that she had a manic episode.
Sure.
But let's rewind a little bit. So before she disappeared and was found on the rooftop, she was sharing a room with people.
Like roommates.
Yeah. It's like the type of hotel you can get with it's kind of like a hostel. You just share the room with randoms. So those randoms or those roommates complained that she was acting weird. So the hotel moved her to her own room.
Okay. Which makes sense. Like, they were complaining about her acting weird, so instead of, wanting to cause any more disturbances or anything like that, they're just like, we'll just give her her own room.
Exactly. And then again, they don't know what she's up to,
Yeah.
It's kind of like nobody trusts each other these days, so who cares? So check this out. The last known video of her was released after she was found. And it shows her going into an elevator, and she starts pressing all the buttons. She looks kind of panicked from the second she walks into the elevator.
Yeah.
She's pressing all the buttons. She stands to the corner of the elevator, and this is being recorded from an elevator cam that's on one corner of the elevator looking down.
Yeah.
So you can't see much except the elevator room and a little bit of the hallway. She presses all the buttons, and then she does this weird thing where she goes out of the elevator, she pops her head out, and she looks left and right.
As if she's, looking for
As if she's either looking for somebody or hiding from somebody.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that she was running from somebody that was trying to hurt her. I remember when I first saw the video, I thought she was, hallucinating heavily. Maybe she saw something, so she was hiding from that.
That's exactly what I was feeling, because when I had seen it originally, the way I saw it was kind of in a sense that people were saying she's possessed.
Yeah.
So I originally took that mentality in there, and I was like, she is acting very strange. But now that I've watched the tape over multiple times, it kind of gives off the impression she was on some sort of hallucinogen. Some people have also said maybe it's a change in medication, but I kind of have looked into bipolar medication.
Yeah.
None of them really describe the way she was acting in detail like that. I feel like maybe she had taken some other sort of medication, or she could have been having some sort of mental breakdown.
Yeah,
you never know. But the way she was moving her arms, and
her hands,
not even to get that far. But originally seeing her walk into the elevator, it kind of seems a little odd. The way she was standing against the wall. But I do that myself because...
of course, if you're somewhere strange, you don't want to put your back to anything.
Yeah.
The only thing that really made me feel, unsettled about the video is the way she moves her hands when she's outside of the elevator. For those of you who haven't seen it, there is... she starts moving her hands kind of putting them out in weird ways, like if she was a tree.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could describe it. And also, I wanted to point out the way she moves in the elevator, rocking back and forth, taking one step forward, one step back, going out of the elevator, but walking kind of sidestepping. I've read about some demon cases where when the demons are acting out, they act out in patterns. So, for example, if you hear a knock, they'll knock 3 times, a pattern.
Yeah.
And they said that those patterns are always to symbolize their hatred of something. So, for example, if you heard whatever demon knock 3 times, it's their resentment towards the Holy Trinity.
Okay, I see that. Yeah.
So the way she was moving, I saw it as patterns. She was pressing buttons, moving back and forth, going out of the elevator, coming in, pressing buttons, doing the same thing, looking around. And when she moves her hands, I will agree, it looks weird, but also she might have been... It looks like she was trying to reason with somebody. When she came back into the elevator, she seemed kind of frazzled. So now we move on to... She was found... Okay, so she's found on top of the roof in the water tank.
Yeah.
First things first, if it was something paranormal, was she told by whatever to go up there and drown herself? Or did somebody put her there? Although I will say that the evidence didn't report any physical trauma. And the autopsy stated that it was an accidental death. Yeah. There was no signs of sexual or physical abuse. So she might have committed suicide, but then again, it was stated as accidental because there was no signs of
like patterns to suicide.
Exactly, and she had been contacting her parents every day up until the day where she was supposed to be back at the airport. They didn't get the call from her that they were expecting, so they contacted police. Police sent out a search warrant for her, and they discovered her on top of the roof in the water tank only after guests were complaining that the water smelled weird. Some of them tasted it. Yeah. So what do you think? Do you take more the side that it was paranormal, or do you think more the side that it was a manic episode, or do you think somebody was chasing her?
Honestly, I had ruled out the paranormal fact, but now that you bring it up, her roommates were complaining she was acting weird.
Yeah. And mind you, that was 2 days before she disappeared.
2 days. So maybe somehow, some way, she could have gotten herself into something. Like, the thing that doesn't make sense to me is that elevator, right?
Yes.
One thing I do know about spirits and stuff like that is they feed off energy.
Yes.
And they can,
they can manipulate energy.
Exactly, because I think that's more in their realm.
Yes.
Right? That's what connects us to them.
Yeah.
Or at least how I see it. But the elevator was staying open for an obnoxiously long time.
Yeah, that's another thing. Go ahead. Real quick. Sorry to cut you off. The elevator door stayed open the whole time she was in there and stepping in and out. And as soon as she's seen for the last time on camera, she leaves the frame and the elevator door closes within a matter of seconds. So you can go ahead and say what you were gonna say about the spirits.
Yeah, because I had seen the video and I saw like she was kind of in the elevator's frame for a while, but also in those moments that she had stepped out of the elevator, she was out of it for more than 20-30 seconds, at least the way I saw it.
Yeah. And
elevators don't take that long to close, so that's the thing that kind of made me a little skeptical about that.
Yeah.
And if her roommates were saying she was acting weird, it could be the possibility that she was barely experiencing possession. And it was just one final night that it finally had kind of taken over, in a sense.
Yeah, like, a lot of people really like to rule out the paranormal side. I don't. But then again, there's a whole thing where the door to access the tank that she was found in has an alarm. Mm-hmm. An alarm that only if you work there, maybe you know how to turn off. Or not even make a noise. So there was also some people speculating that somebody at the hotel had something to do with it. Only somebody that would know how to access that, how to open this,
Sure.
If you have certain keys, if you work there. But I will say I don't rule out any sort of like demonic possession because I do believe in those things. Mm-hmm. I do believe in those things. A lot of people like to say they don't until it happens,
Exactly.
And everybody could believe whatever they want, obviously, but I do believe that there's such things as demonic possessions, and I do believe in the paranormal, but also we can't rule out the fact about that bipolar disorder thing.
Exactly.
Because that means psychotic like drugs were involved. Mm-hmm. So like this could go either way. I don't really see anything outweighing the other. But any last thoughts on this?
I mean, personally, I'm not entirely sure what I believe. Yeah. I would like to think that it was more of a psychotic episode, and saying that because it's more reasonable. But the paranormal is something that is so vast for us to understand. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
In many ways, the manic episode could have 100% happened, and I do believe that as well. But then again, there's like, what about the other part of it?
Exactly.
What about the strange patterns? What about the elevator door not closing? How does the elevator door have anything to do with her psychotic breakdown?
It could have been that maybe the hotel was experiencing some sort of power issues, mm-hmm. which is why the elevator door wasn't closing, and then it kind of had some sort of power issues, and which is why when she was up there, she was able to open the hatch without it making a noise. Perhaps there was some sort of power issue. Yeah. However, I've heard in different parts of the stories told by other people is that hatch is really heavy.
Yeah, it's really heavy.
She's a very she seems to be very like thin.
Yeah, she looked really small in the video. I'm not sure she could lift that and close it by herself.
Yes, and I mean if she could do so, then usually people's instinct when they're drowning is to come up for air. I don't see why she wouldn't open it. Maybe I don't know. I really don't know.
And not to mention, it was really tall. You need a ladder to get up there. So I question, how was she having a manic episode and was all frazzled, but able to go up a ladder, open a hatch, go in the hatch, and close it herself?
Exactly.
You know?
Unless there was some sort of possible sign of she wanted to commit suicide. But to me, it seemed like she was unaware of what she was doing.
Yeah, she seemed very like if she was having trouble standing, hearing, she was putting her arms up to her head. Her family said she was very friendly. The people who saw her before she disappeared said she seemed very outgoing. She was buying gifts for her family at the gift shop. But I will also add a little token that hotel that she was staying at, the Cecil Hotel, has a history of, being linked to murders and paranormal things. I don't know if that ties into it, but that might be another segment.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, this case is definitely one that has always stumped me, and it's something that I can never really put my finger on, because just when you think you found the solution, there's always one that's like, wait, but this doesn't
There's
add
always
up.
that next door to open after.
So,
I definitely agree. So I think that about wraps it up.
that wraps it up. If you have any type of horror stories that you have gone through or you want us to touch on, please feel free to submit them. We'd be glad to read them.
Yeah, we'd be really glad to read them. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks.